what would you say to the people who have gone through a heartbreak and also they have not got any closure, you know? Yeah. So, how do they heal themselves?
I know heartbreak is a very sensitive area, and I think everyone experiences it in life. I think the first thing to know is that if you're hurting, so is the other person, right? Because very often we are very consumed by our own pain. The other thing to note is that it is possible for both of you to be okay, correct in your own ways, and it not working out. Because one thing we take away very often from heartbreak is something was done to us.
Yeah.
And everyone is figuring life out. So no one's intending to harm or hurt the other. They're just figuring lives out.
Yeah.
So you may have hurt someone accidentally, someone may have hurt you, but that's okay. And I think finally, I guess what the best way from a heartbreak is to realize that there's a space available in your life.
Space of?
A space available in your life.
Space available. Okay.
And that space is yours. And it's a sacred space. And see where that time with yourself takes you. Don't be very quick to fill it. Because there is something there that is also important for you to realize and take away. A relationship very often requires us to be so focused on the other. So when that does happen, as sad and heartbreaking it is, there is that space for growth and that time, that sacred time for yourself. So do those things that really nourish and nurture you. And when you do, when your energy rises, your state rises, you look back even with love at that person or that relationship and be grateful for what it was.
Yeah, that's so important to realize. That was so beautiful, actually, to realize that we need to nourish ourselves first before jumping into another relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so important.
It's like, you have a remote control which controls your life. That remote control is your life choices, what you spend your time on, where you invest your energies. But very often what we do is we give that remote control to people around us. So we start doing what they need us to do. And we may give this to our loved ones. So this giving of remote control can also be acts of love. Mothers give it to their children. People give it to their parents. People give it to their partners. But as long as someone else is holding that remote control to your life, you will always feel like life is not fair or it is out of control. Yeah. So when a heartbreak or a relationship ends, it's a time when that remote control is in your hand. Yeah. Just spend time nurturing that.
You talk about past lives, you do a lot of energy work. Sometimes two people are not meant to be together and there is nobody's mistake. So how would you interpret that to the people that it is not meant for you when blame is involved,
There are two things. There are the actions that have taken place, which we may have done or the other person may have done. And then there is the person behind the actions who may or may not have been fully operating from their best when they did certain things. Very often we hold on to the actions and we interpret the person based on the actions. Yeah. But the person is human, going through their own insecurities, their learnings, their journey. And in past lives, if I was to look at this from the construct of past lives, every relationship has a certain purpose in our life. Maybe that heartbreak taught me independence. Yeah. Maybe a divorce taught me self-reliance. Maybe a relationship taught me how to discover myself, right? Maybe an abusive relationship taught me strength, right? So every relationship has a purpose. Yeah. And it's a beautiful purpose. But if a relationship ends, it's probably that purpose is done. Yeah. When we hold on to it or when we criticize or judge ourselves for it, that's futile because you were not the person you are when you entered that relationship. As you've evolved, what is no longer a right fit will fall away.
Yeah. So now you're not that person who went into that relationship. And this version of you does not need that person, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that person is no longer that intimate person for you.
Yeah. But it is so difficult to realize because we are attached
Yeah.
to having that person in our lives. So, yeah.
And we're also attached, I think, because of Disney and Bollywood. We've been sold a lot of concepts of what true love looks like,
Yeah.
what passionate love
Yeah.
looks like. But true love can also mean a silent goodbye.
Yeah. Like recently, the movie, Sanyara movie
Mm.
released. Some students were literally fainted in theater. So yeah, the people are really connecting with the heartbreak feeling. I don't know what would you say to them, how they internalize heartbreak so much that they forget their careers, their passion, their ambitions.
In psychology, we're taught different stages of development.
Yeah.
And connection, intimacy is a very big phase of development, because in that phase, you learn a lot about yourself. But when you're going through that phase is everything for you.
Yeah.
So they are internalizing it, they're resonating it with it, they are connecting with that notion of that unconditional, crazy, passionate love, because somewhere they need that. They want to feel that in their life. And it's beautiful, experience it, but then comes maturity, then comes lessons in life.
Yeah. Even experiencing that is beautiful.
Of
I
course,
know.
every lesson is beautiful.
Yeah.
Looking back, it's like life's a school. And I think I was having this conversation with somebody, and they gave me this beautiful analogy that life is a school. In 12th grade, you're learning very complicated maths things like calculus, etc. But you never look at a second grader who's learning probably multiplication and judging them for it.
Yeah.
Because when they are learning them, that's everything, right? And it's hard, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
So that's a phase of life. And that's beautiful in its own way. And then when you learn different things, those become beautiful in their own way.
Yeah. That is so beautiful. So yeah, maybe they have to go through this pain or this experience.
For who they are as people. Not every youngster will go through it.
Yeah.
But for who they are as people, they're naturally gravitating towards
Yeah.
that experience. They will experience it. They will learn from it. They will grow from it.
Yeah.
And they will move forward.
Okay. For couples who want to practice emotional intimacy, rather than just talking about their feelings and being one, like what are the tips you would give to the couples to practice emotional intimacy?
I think emotional intimacy, first step is know yourself. Because if you don't show up as who you are, and if you're not comfortable with yourself, you won't be able to create a space of intimacy with another person. So in spiritual psychology, we're taught that the world is a mirror. So whatever is being reflected back is also something you need to look at within you. So spend enough time getting to know who you are, nurturing who you are, so that when you enter a space with another person, you are comfortable with who you are. Right? So that creates a more balanced relationship.
Right.
Share from your heart, be honest, be vulnerable. But at the same time, recognize that your version of sharing, your way of communicating is personal to you. And that other person has their own way of understanding, processing. But create a space where you guys can just be who you are. I think giving that freedom to the other person to be who they are and taking that freedom to be who you are creates true intimacy. And that intimacy may not be like Sayara, but it will be one where
Yeah.
you can just be.
Yeah.
And you're comfortable being who you are. I remember reading this somewhere that when you can be silent with a person for a really long time, that's also very beautiful.
Right.
So, honest communication, authenticity, but taking accountability for yourself.
Yeah.
Because very often we just talk about our feelings and expect the other person to do something about that.
Yeah.
And that's not fair. It's an equal relationship.
Yeah.
Another thing which I thought was very useful is very often when we come into a relationship, we end up thinking a lot about the past and we end up projecting that into what's happening. We call it bunching from the past and dumping it on the person. Don't do that.
That is why it is very important to take that break from one relationship and heal yourself.
Yeah.
before jumping into another relationship.
And if something is showing up and if something is triggering you, treat it as that thing and don't attach everything else around it. So that's another thing. Be very present with where you are. Be honest with yourself as to what is happening. Find a way to communicate that and also know that the other person may or may not respond in ways that you're ready for. But then when they have this freedom to be who they are, you have the freedom to be who you are, you may be able to create a beautiful space of communication and sharing.
Yeah.
And something which I tell a lot of my couple clients is that figure out what love means to the other person. Because for you, love may mean physical affection, but to another person, it may just mean being deeply present with each other.
That's true.
So figure out what love means, because otherwise everyone will feel that they're not loved in the relationship. Figure
out what love means for your partner.
For your partner and for yourself, so you can communicate and understand that. Find that space where both of you are able to talk that
is such
language.
a great tip. Yeah. So that we can show and express love in their way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you have a little child, you will start talking like the child.
Yeah.
Right? But when our partners, we'll never do that.
Yeah.
We always want to be, you know,
कि मुझे ऐसा प्यार चाहिए.
Exactly. Sabko pyar chahiye.
Yeah.
But what about giving that love in the form that the other person needs it?
Yeah, and it is also about you will receive in giving.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.